What is realism?
Okay, well, realism is generally, it has a lot of different levels or different flavors of realism. I guess when I say that I'm a realist, what I mean is that I'm realist about quantum theory. And what we mean by that is that I think that the theory is referring to something in the world, something that exists in the world. So I take the theory as, describing something going on in the world. So that's what it means to be realist about a theory or to approach a theory from a stance of realism. That there's an ontological referent, the word referent meaning, what the theory is pointing to. So that, an example would be the referent of Newton's theory of gravitation is a massive object or one or more massive objects, that is what it's describing and they really exist. And it's easy for us to be realist about Newton's theory, because okay, it's not too hard to imagine that, yes, there are really masses out there, and that's what the theory is describing. So the opposite of realism about a theory, is called anti-realism, and that takes many forms. In terms of quantum theory or a particular scientific theory, when you take an anti-realist stance about it, what you're doing is making the theory about what I know or what the user of the theory knows. You're making it observer dependent. So you're saying the theory is not referring to something in the world. No, the theory is referring to my knowledge. So that it makes it sort of denies that there's a referent of the theory in the world that the theory is describing. And instead, it says that the theory is basically an instrument that I use to increase my knowledge. Of course, in my mind, that kind of begs the question: well, what do you know if what's in your mind doesn't reflect what's in the world? Then what is it? What's going on in your mind? Why should we care? But anyway, that's kind of the rough definition and the contrast between realism and anti-realism. And they take many different forms. And, it also depends on whether you're talking about an ontological stance about the world itself. Then there's slightly different subtleties about the meaning of these words. But in terms of quantum theory, the anti-realist trend is to say that the theory is an instrument for me or the experimenter or the observer to gain knowledge, and end of story. And that there's a kind of a, I don't want to be too harsh here, but there's a bit of a preachiness that goes along with that. And in fact, some folks who adopt this view actually call their interpretations normative, meaning we want to make a norm, we want to provide guidance about the right way to do things. And that is to say that the theory is about my knowledge and my experiences. So they kind of really, in a sense, get a bit, it seems like a form of not being very humble about your interpretations. Like, it's fine to have that as an interpretation if you say, I can't make sense of the theory, so I'm just going to say it's an instrument. But everyone else, and they point the finger that, that to me is like, no, thank you.
If I can attempt to summarize this with a popular riddle, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, doesn't make a sound, the realist would say that's observer independent. The event occurs regardless of if anyone's around. Whereas the anti-realist would say that no, it's observer dependent, that nothing else exists outside of your perception. Like the Irish philosopher George Berkeley used to say, to be is to perceive.